Last Mark Standing on iTunes, SoundCloud. Find us on Twitter at the Marquis Mark, at Dare to be Damian, and at Last Mark Podcast. Your boy, Damian Salty G, with his favorite tag team partner, the Marquis Mark Trina.
Hey.
Why do you always take so long to get in on the intro, by the way?
I don't know.
It's like you wait
kind of weird.
You wait 3 beats.
Well, because like you're really good at it, and then all I have to say is hi. I'm like, let's make it a little awkward. Why not? Let's make it weird.
Isn't that what we do? We do awkward and weird very well.
Oh, totally.
Oh,
totally.
I have to ask the audience, because before we went on the air, you said we're too old for this. But what is the term F-boy? What does that mean, folks? Let me know. I don't know what that means, because apparently after a night of drinking last night, I was going to wear sunglasses to, I don't know, just seem extra douchey. And Trina says, that's an F-boy move, but I don't know what that means. Because,
I think it's like what the kids say now instead of douche.
Oh, so they say F-boy?
So if you're doing a negative action in your circle of friends or within your relationship, you're being an F-boy. I just really like the term. So if I misuse it, I don't care. Okay. Because I'm talking to other old people and they don't know what it means either, and they just think that I'm cool, so it's fine.
So are we classified as old? Is that what we're doing?
Yo, I'm just gonna embrace it. I think for our ages, I'm not gonna say what our ages are, but for our ages, we look good.
Damn right, I look good.
And so I'm just gonna say we're old, and and people can figure out what that means.
By the way, funny story about last night. A friend of mine, his girlfriend, said my Kango hats make me look like Bill Cosby. I didn't know how to take that.
Ooh. Well, first of all, you never want to be compared to Bill Cosby at this point.
Right.
And I think maybe they meant LL Cool J.
No, she meant Bill Cosby.
Bill Cosby doesn't wear Kangol hats.
It made me seem old, she said. She goes, the hat makes you look old. And I'm like, what do you mean it makes me look old?
Okay, I'm going to agree with her because the only people that wear Kangol hats at this point are LL Cool J and Sam Jackson.
But those are sometimes motherfuckers.
And Kevin James.
Oh, no. But he wears his backwards.
Yeah.
No. He wears his backwards.
Yeah.
He's Tony Romo.
Wait, what color was the Kangol hat?
The gray one.
So is it Kangol? It's not like a newsboy cap. Like, it's like a Sami Zayn situation?
It's the one I wore for NXT TakeOver.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I don't consider that is it Kangol or is it something else?
It's Kangol because it's written on the side of the cap.
Oh, that's the problem. You need to buy a hat that looks like that doesn't say Kangol.
Okay, so I'm going to just buy a Sami Zayn. Maybe I should buy a Sami Zayn hat.
Just buy a Sami Zayn hat because, if somebody calls you old and be like, well, look at Justin Timberlake and Tom Brady.
I've been told I shouldn't wear a Sami Zayn cap.
Who cares? Fuck it.
All right. Well, if anyone out there wants to buy me one, you want to sponsor the Last Mark Podcast.
Right, exactly. That's true. If you have a better hat option for Damian, please send them over.
Yeah, send me some merch. Send me a message on Twitter, again, at Dare to be Damian, and we can work something out where you send me a new line of Kangol hats that I can wear proudly and not look like Bill Cosby. But enough about that.
Yes.
I'm going to put on the douchey glasses because you know what? It fits the gimmick today. And the reason why it fits the gimmick today is because we're going to talk about a few things that have really made me salty the last day and a half, 2 days. Because if you remember our last episode, I was attacked by members of the Bella Army. Because apparently I was being biased against Nikki Bella because she's not my cup of tea. Because I didn't reference how great of a person and a humanitarian she was. Right. Because all I was sticking to was her in-ring acumen. And the Bella Nation proceeded to bombard me with a lot of negative speak. So I chewed on that for a couple of days, and now I'm thinking, okay, let's do this. You really want to go here? You really want to talk about these gender issues? You want to talk about isms? Why not? So without further ado, I want to say one thing about the Roman Reigns hate. All right?
Okay.
A lot of guys hate Roman Reigns, not because he, quote unquote, can't wrestle. It's because they themselves are intimidated by the fact that he's a good-looking mofo. Okay? I find Roman Reigns to be a good-looking mofo.
Yeah.
So you know what, guys? Stop being insecure, because you know what? No matter how handsome I may or may not be, I'm still an insecure fuck. If I had the Roman Reigns Pantene hair flip, I would still be insecure. I'd still think, damn, my hair's so long. Why do people like me? Because that's me. That's my own neuroses. But for guys to go out there and to say, women only like Roman Reigns because he's hot. No, women, we like whoever the hell we like. How about that? How about we like whoever we want to like? If I want to like Sasha Banks because she's the boss, if I want to like Bayley because she hugs like a maniac, if I want to like Finn Balor because he resorts to a demon persona, that's my prerogative, right?
Right.
So then, if people want to go around and say Roman Reigns is a good-looking dude, okay, he's a good-looking dude. But yes, here's the thing. He can actually wrestle. No, he's not a catch-as-catch-can wrestler. He's not a Cesaro type. But thank you to the Bella Army that attacked me for bringing this out. Wrestlers have different types. We got power-based wrestlers. We have wrestlers who are technical-based. We got high flyers. Like you always say, Trina, there is something for everyone going on now in the world of wrestling. So if you're finding something to really complain about wrestling, then you're looking too damn hard, because you know what? The network gives me something that I like, and that's the Cruiserweight Classic. Am I going to sit here and bash the rest of WWE because of it? No. I'm just going to stick to what I like. All right, fine. But stop yelling at Roman Reigns saying he can't wrestle, because not for nothing, he carried the Big Show to a really great match. If you remember that, what was it, Last Man Standing match? A couple years ago or a year ago, and then he has a great match with Bray Wyatt. Come on, man. Stop saying he can't wrestle. He just doesn't wrestle the way you want him to wrestle. So knock it off.
And you know what? I'm going to jump in and be like to the Bella Army or to people who were tweeting you. It's like there's so many more constructive ways to do this. And just because Damian or someone says that they don't like somebody doesn't give you the right to attack them. Because I think if you've listened to the show, you know that when Damian says that, he means their wrestling ability or something about their character or whatever, not the person themselves. Like, again, we have to separate the character from the person. And I think you need to give people the benefit of the doubt, because it's not constructive. You know, if you have something to say about sexism in wrestling, you know, do a podcast, write an article. Attacking people when they're taken out of context or you don't know them that well and putting labels on them as misogynists is not helpful. It doesn't perpetuate any sort of communication, and it doesn't help the situation at all.
Exactly. And that's what our show's about. And I think a lot of people know us by now, where we do this because we want to facilitate discussion. We don't want to bash one particular group versus the other. The only reason I went on my rant is because it's starting to get on my nerves. You know, it's the same argument, and it's getting tired. The Roman Reigns can't wrestle argument is tired. Is he AJ Styles? No. Is he Kenny Omega? No. He's Roman Reigns. You know, we lambasted John Cena for many a year, and by we I mean fans, because he has the 5 moves of doom. Everybody has a certain amount of moves that they can incorporate the moves of doom. Taker has old school into the last, the last ride, or the turnbuckle, snake eyes into the big boot. Kevin Nash, big boot. Big Cass, 5 moves of doom already. No one's complaining about that, right? He's got the splash in the corner that doesn't look like it hurts anybody, to be quite honest with you. He's got the big boot. He's got the Empire Elbow, and I really hate when Michael Cole screams out Empire Elbow like he just jizzed his pants. It really bothers me.
I know. Ugh.
And then it looks like Cass is struggling to body slam people that he outweighs by 100 pounds. So someone brought it up to me that maybe he's injured, maybe he's working hurt, that he's struggling to pick people up. I mean, you saw he almost killed Enzo.
I know. Oh, God.
But he's got moves of doom. Everybody does.
Look, again, you know, like let's separate the character from the person. Don't take things so personally. I just don't feel like Twitter is the forum to be standing up for your favorite wrestlers. And you know, at the end of the day, I think life is about learning how to coexist with people, and you're going to have people that don't agree with you. And so, you know, in real life, just because you're behind a keyboard, in real life, like you're not going to take Damian to task if you see him like at Ring of Honor tonight or whatever. So, why do it behind a keyboard when you're anonymous? I mean, like let's do something productive. If you're doing that, if you're attacking Damian because he said one innocuous thing about maybe not liking Nikki Bella's wrestling style, you might as well be one of the trolls.
Yeah. And let me again preface, the reason why I asked about Nikki Bella was because I was curious as to why people like her. It wasn't me saying I don't like her for whatever reason. Right. I said she's not my cup of tea. I'm entitled to that opinion. But I wanted feedback, I wanted discussion about why people love Nikki Bella. And some people came at me productively saying she works hard, she's improved by leaps and bounds since 2014, which I've seen. But if I'm going to liken her to another wrestler, i.e. moveset, for me, she's a Lex Luger type in terms of moveset. Everything was power-based. She had the rack attack. That is Lex Luger 101. She had a forearm smash.
Yeah.
Lex Luger 101. Now she's got like what, the TKO, the swinging TKO thing as a finisher, which I enjoy.
Yeah.
But am I still going to sit here and say I like her better than, say, Becky Lynch? No, because Becky Lynch is my kind of wrestler. Yeah. Sasha Banks is my kind of wrestler. I'm not going to say that Nikki Bella's horrible. Think about it like this. Alicia Fox. People call her overrated. I say for a lot of the time, she's been underrated. She can actually, when she was given that Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs character, where she would just have meltdowns at the end of matches and like pretty much strangle Byron and Cole and, after a match, she has a beautiful Northern Light suplex. It's one of the most beautiful things I've seen. But again, she wasn't a classically trained wrestler. She wasn't Paige. She wasn't Emma. She's not Becky. But you know what? That's fine. Everybody's got a place. And I saw this post once that all these women have a place in the WWE. I saw yesterday, Rosa Mendez. She's 10 years in the company. And all over Twitter, people were saying, how is she still in there? What has she brought productively to the table? And I counted with, look, at the beginning, she actually got Primo and Epico over. People were like, oh, they were never over. I'm like, no. If you really paid attention, before they were the Shining Stars, before they were Los Matadores, she helped them establish themselves on the main roster. Because, was it in a good way? No. Her coming out and doing her fit, and trust me, it's a fake Spanish girl dance. It's like No Way Jose.
No Way Jose, exactly what I was going to say.
No Way Jose does not really dance smash. He's just like moving his hips like some guy at Club Med.
He's pretty much doing a Zumba class for people.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe No Way Jose. But at the very least, Rosa Mendez contributed something back then. She has said on numerous occasions now she is dedicated as being a mom who is still in wrestling, i.e. like Tamina, who wants to get better. I want to see that. I want to see Rosa Mendez get better. I don't want women wrestlers or wrestlers in general. I love improvement. Same thing with broadcasting. I love to improve my broadcast daily. So when I'm at my other job, I'm practicing doing monologues at work. Why? Because I'm constantly wanting to refine my craft. There's no shame in wanting to get better at what you do.
Yeah, so, and you know what? And people have to work with what they have. So it's like you can't wish that every single wrestler is going to have the athletic ability of a Charlotte or a Bayley or a Sasha Banks. Right. Again, like we say this all the time, don't knock the hustle. Like people are just trying to make it out there with what they have, and like more power to them for using the God-given tools that they were given. Because look, we both want to make it in this like broadcast world. You've got the degree. I have the balls to try. So, we're both sort of like making do with what we have.
By the way, you just put a big image in people's mind about you having balls. So
if they follow Heel Trina on Twitter, they know they have balls.
Hashtag Trina balls, apparently. Yeah. But okay, no, I really want your feedback. Like, am I off base with getting tired of people chastising Roman, chastising women's wrestling as a whole? Am I off base with this?
You're not off base. But I don't want you to waste your breath for too long, because the truth of the matter is that there will be dissenters. There are going to be people with different opinions. There are going to be people with different tastes, because again, we've said this many times before, wrestling is art. And so we are not all going to agree on one thing. And again, at the end of the day, it's like, I don't want to be just chastising people for hating certain wrestlers or liking certain wrestlers for superficial reasons or insignificant reasons, you know, like why somebody's attractive or whatever. They have a move set like Lex Luger. Like that's not what this is about. I think it's about trying to figure out like how we connect as wrestling fans. It's like, okay, so maybe Nikki Bella is not your cup of tea.
Say that 3 times fast.
Yeah, I know, right? Maybe Nikki Bella is not your cup of tea, but I mean, it's like, well, what do you appreciate about her? There has to be something that you like. You know, you're a wrestling fan. So it's like,
I actually like the fact that she has power-based moves. I
do too. I love it.
I love a good stiff working match. You know that. I like strong style. So if Nikki turns into a strong style wrestler, I'll be even more appreciative of the work she puts in.
Oh, it'd be amazing. I mean, look, we just have to respect that we're going to have different opinions, and don't vilify somebody because they don't agree with you. You know, like Damian's a great guy. You know, like he's very, very much so for women's rights. He's one of the most feminist males that I know. And so, you know, to single him out as somebody who is just being a misogynist because he doesn't like Nikki Bella is misunderstanding human beings as a whole and misunderstanding misogyny and feminism.
Thank you. That's actually one of the more endearing compliments I've ever heard, even though I can hear other people on the social media ground saying, Damian is a very sensitive cat. Like, what is he, a punk? And I'm like, no, dude, I'm not a punk. I'm not any euphemism for like weak just because I'm a sensitive person. Look, I'm in a career of being a lifelong therapist. You really think a successful therapist can do this job without being sensitive to human beings? Seriously. Yeah. And I get that all the time. Like, you're not a real manly man. And I'm thinking, why? Because I have empathy? Because I care about my fellow human beings? No, you work, because again, I think you know this, but the audience doesn't know this. I had a career in advertising before I went into psychology. I hated the way I felt. It made me feel dirty because I was taking advantage of our fellow man. Giving these products that I did not believe in just to get you to buy it. It's like, come on, man, really? That's why I hated sales. I used to do sales. I hated it because it wasn't something I wanted to sell. So we're selling ourselves as broadcasters. I'm good with that. We're selling our show. I'm great with that. But if you force me to sell something I don't like or even talk about something I don't like, then what's the point? And I saw that Trina tuned out there for a minute. Welcome back, by the way. I think she missed my host soliloquy, but it's fine. Yeah. But no, honestly, I appreciate the compliment. I'm very pro everyone. I'm pro-human. It's not even about just, feminism or not. I'm pro-human. So if you don't like me being pro-human, then, thanks.
Well, and the other thing I want to bring up is that, we're all learning here. Like we're learning how to get along. We're learning how to not offend each other. We're learning how to support each other. Damian asks me all the time, how do I handle X situation? I'm talking to this person on Twitter, and I think they're misunderstanding me, and it's making me look like something I'm not, and blah, blah, blah. And that's what I think you need to take into consideration, is that there are people that do mean well. They just don't know how to say things the right way. They don't know how to address things the right way. They maybe have grown up in cultures, in cities, in parts of the country that are not as progressive or as liberal or as pro-female as some other parts of the country. And so, just remember that, like just because somebody is saying something that could be understood as misconstrued as ignorant doesn't mean that that's the intention the person has. They might just not be. They might not be aware of what they're saying or what they're saying is giving off, the connotation it's giving off. And so it's like, that's why I prefer facilitation, because I think it teaches more than it chastises. Because that's the thing. Last week, if you listen to Last Mark Standing, Damian did a very impassioned speech about ring rats and things like that. And I did feel like I had to defend him because I wanted to make sure people didn't see him as slut shaming. Because it's things like that, like there are just so many terms being thrown around all the time that we hear on the news, that we hear in podcasts, that we hear everywhere in pop culture. And I think we need to be a little more responsible with how we use them. And I don't know if you're ready for a segue here and you hate that I call it out, but
stop doing that.
This goes into something else that came up this week with the Usos being called thugs.
Oh yeah. Oh, I hated that.
So it's like the term thug is not something that I think should be eliminated from our vocabulary, because there are people out there that are thugs. But I think in the current climate, in the way that things are being covered in the news with young people being shot by the police, people shooting at police, etc. I think the term is being thrown around a little too easily, and we need to be cognizant of that. And so I think considering the climate, like, don't just willy-nilly throw around the word thug, because you're making it something that it really isn't, and you're characterizing people in a way that you might not even be intending to. But, just be cognizant of what's going on in the world and know that, like, if you just like offhandedly call someone a thug, there are a lot of connotations that go with that.
Yeah. And I know where you're getting this from. And all I'll say is, in the connotation it was used, I feel that it was used very abruptly and not very well thought out, because they associated the Usos dancing, and it's not, and they weren't talking about the Haka dance before they come out in the intro. It's the fact that on SmackDown Live, apparently one of the Usos was making it rain, and that was called thuggish. Really? Making it rain is a symbol of being a thug? Since when?
Right.
I do that once in a while as a joke. Does that make me a thug?
Right. Exactly.
I'll do it now.
Exactly.
And I'll make coins rain. I'll make it hail with nickels. Yeah. Does that make me a thug?
Right. Exactly.
Just saying.
I mean, just like I said, I'm gonna keep saying it, but it's like, maybe people don't watch the news. Maybe they don't see how the media covers these incidents that are going on. But the word thug is being misapplied to people, and the definition of the word thug is taking on a new life, where it's being applied to people and situations that are not quote unquote thuggish, that don't have anything to do with the aura of what a thug is. And so just be careful. I mean, it goes back again to our episode about being so quick to say something is blackface. It's like be a little bit more intelligent about the history of blackface, and what that means. And then maybe you'll be a little bit more careful about suggesting that people are using blackface.
Yeah. Well, the whole Finn Balor being in blackface thing was I thought it was ludicrous, but who am I, right?
Smart Infested Waters just tweeted, doesn't Fandango make it rain on Tyler Breeze every SmackDown? What a thug.
Yeah. Heaven forbid Tyler Breeze and Fandango are thugs.
Yeah.
They're
those very stylish thugs.
Yes,
yeah,
those
exactly.
stylish Zoolander thugs. How dare they?
Right. Because, look, the WWE is, again, a carny show. It is sports entertainment, and they are going to use stereotypes. And somebody like JBL will use the word thug. They will use the word like dirtbag or whatever. They'll use derogatory terms because it's entertainment, because it's their job. Let's not perpetuate that as fans in our podcasts, in our blogs, and things like that. I think it's important for us to prove that we're an intelligent fan base.
Oh, I could tell you right now, in my neighborhood, I'm perceived as a thug because I wear these kinds of caps and graphic T-shirts in my neighborhood when I go to throw out the trash. And I see all the time, I've heard a woman under her breath say, "Oh, Spanish thug." Really? I'm the epitome of a Spanish thug? Okay.
Yeah.
Sure,
Right.
why not? All right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because okay, we're going to get real deep here. But I mean, what it comes down to is when there are people in the media and there are people in the news using that term, there are instances where it sounds like they're using it in place of the N-word.
Mm.
So that's what I mean by be careful, guys. Because, it might be the first thing that pops in your head and maybe it's totally innocuous to you. It doesn't seem like it's derogatory, but we live in a current situation where that word is turning into something else.
Right.
And so, if it's a throwaway comment, it's like, oh, that guy wears saggy pants, he's a thug. You have to realize that there are people out there using that word in place of a different word.
Right. And when people throw those terms around so flippantly,
yes,
it demeans us humans again. Like, again, I'm just so disappointed in my fellow humans sometimes. And today, wrestling Twitter has been so... I tweeted the picture of Bugs Bunny face palming himself. Like, that is how I felt today in the last couple of days with wrestling Twitter. And it's ridiculous. And it goes back to what you and I were talking about a couple of days ago about the mob mentality at pro wrestling events where the douchey chanters are over-enveloping the quote-unquote normal fan. And this encapsulates everything that's going wrong in the pro wrestling world. And I want to take it a half step back to the Roman Reigns thing, where I hear a lot of complaints about Roman's push. I didn't hear a lot of complaints about Finn's push. People were saying, oh, who is this guy? He just got here. And I have to remind them that Finn was in NXT. But at what point is the Roman Reigns hate? And you and I will do another Roman Reigns-centric episode, we promise, because I feel like we can do whole 2 hours on all the isms associated with Roman Reigns and the fan base against Roman Reigns. Like, is it just because he's a good-looking dude? Is it just because he's in a spot he quote-unquote didn't earn? Or is it something more?
Classism, sexism.
Classism, sexism,
Is it because is he brown? Racism?
Is it because he's a person of color?
Yeah.
And I'm putting it out there. Do people hate Roman Reigns because he's a person of color? Because for the same reason, you could hate people who got super pushes, but weren't people of color. Like, who was the last person that got a super push before Roman Reigns that the internet, the wrestling internet community, and again, somebody said that term is tired, and I'm starting to understand why it's tired, that got so mad because somebody got super pushed because they weren't a person of color.
I'm also going to throw one thing out. Bigger issues aside, obviously we like to cover that here on Last Mark Standing with the racism, the classism, the sexism. I think you have to recognize that there are just fans who aren't looking at it in that way, and they're just looking to get themselves over, and they want to. It's a cry for attention. I want to quote, according to Bree. Bree's one of our followers. She had this posted yesterday because she's also been sick and tired of like the fighting she's seen all over her timeline, people destroying each other because someone doesn't like a certain wrestler. I'm going to quote her. She says, "Pro tip, none of the wrestlers you vehemently defend and fight over know or will ever know you exist. Be kind to each other." Because I think there are a group of fans who do this for attention, hoping to get Roman Reigns' attention, hoping to get Sasha's attention, or just get attention, period. And so that's part of the reason why I do feel like it's wasting your breath sometimes when you are taking people to task, because, unless you know what their real intentions are, they're just trolling you, they're just trying to get their name out there. They're trying to get Roman Reigns to maybe see that they're such a diehard fan that they will fight people on the internet for him. So it goes back again to like, we live in a Kardashian society. Everyone's just trying to put themselves over, trying to get famous in whatever way, and then trying to get noticed. And, it might not be something as serious as racism or sexism or classism. It might just be trolls, wanting to get some attention. Exactly. If you've never seen it, you still haven't seen the video.
I haven't seen the video.
It's an Eastern European man, and I think he's on some sort of talent show, and he's gonna sing, and he just goes out and he's like, that's his dancing, that's his singing. I mean, that's so. So that's what's going. It's just another one of those stupid viral videos. But anyway, I love it when you say it.
Yes. Well, now I have to watch the video now that you've mentioned it a few times to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm glad we're bringing this up, and I'm glad we're really talking about the fact that fandom, albeit short for fanatic, I've talked about this numerous times, and this was brought up, I believe, by Big Nasty from Bleacher Report. Where's the line between being an impassioned fan and being almost a sycophant, being a fanatical fan?
Yes.
We got people jumping. We got people jumping over barricades. We got people jumping, in the ring.
Into the ring. Yeah.
It's like, really? Like, is that where we're going now? We're going to take it to that point now?
Yeah. I know.
Come on, man. Like, stop.
It's really bad. And, this is why we do it. Because, look, I want to prove to people that wrestling fans are not psychos. We're not all trying to get into the ring with Seth Rollins. We're not all stalking them outside the hotel at 3 a.m. in the morning. We're not all chanting to ruin a match, or we're not all getting on the internet just to attack somebody because they don't like Nikki Bella as a wrestler. Some of us are trying to do something constructive using the fact that we are a community of people who happen to like wrestling. So it's like, please, we talked about this in the last episode. We're trying to figure it out here. Do what you can to stop these people. Do what you can to, to tell people don't jump in. If you see some guy that's going to jump into the ring, you pull him back. I mean, you don't know if this guy really is intending to do harm or like he's like just a guy who wants to be on TV. So.
And going back to the Roman thing, Smart Infested Waters again tweeted, about people accepting Roman Reigns as not as the charismatic babyface, but as the silent enforcer of the Shield. I've seen Roman in other interviews outside of WWE, and he is an actual very likable person. He's very well spoken. He's very polite. He's very well versed. I would never, I don't want to associate him as just being the silent brooding type. And I'm not going to lie, if you go back in the archives, I thought that's where he worked best. But again, somebody brought this up to me a few days ago. When he was in the Shield, he was green. That was his thing, to be the muscle, quote unquote, and to be the smoldering Jason Momoa type. Now that he's been in a couple years, he's starting to show a little bit more personality. What I don't like is when they give him corny promos and talk about Jolly Green Giants and beanstalks and whatever. That's dumb. Don't make Roman Reigns do that. It's like the promo that Titus O'Neil cut on Monday. Could that have gotten any more dreadful? And I don't blame Titus fully for that. He was speaking about something he didn't believe in. It goes back to, again, selling something you don't believe in. If you're given a promo that you're going to go out and you're going to cut, but you don't really believe in that promo, he's best friends with Darren Young in real life. You know what I mean? Like, Darren Young, I think, is one of the godfathers of his children. Like, really? I'm supposed to believe they have a blood feud? Because, no, you can't make Titus O'Neil a heel. He's a natural face. Is he the most comfortable guy on the microphone? No, of course not. But making him do a heel turn just for the sake of giving Darren Young something to do? No, I mean, Mass Fan told me the other day on Twitter, he said that Titus O'Neil was doing well as the good the good dad, fighting for his kids. They could have ran with that. They could have ran with that, like the Heath Slater thing now. Like, Heath had to feed his kids, and apparently that's gotten Heath over because he has like 13,000 kids that he needs to feed. But, but Titus O'Neil could have had the same gimmick of working, being the working man's, wrestler. but they didn't let him do that. Now they're going to make him force a heel turn. Prime example of how to do a blood feud when you're friends with someone in real life, Kevin Owens. He can make you hate anybody because he has a troll about him. He is a troll in a sense. And I love it. I love the fact that Kevin Owens control you. He trolled the Enzo chicken dance. I love that because I'm going to be busting that out for someone's wedding down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we all know I'm going to be busting out that chicken dance because I love it. But the fact that Owens mocked it, that got him heat. The fact that he could do the come here, come and get it fist pump thing like the vaudevillains and still get heat, that's great. So there are roles, I should say, for trolling, no matter how much of a lovable person you are. Because if you see Kevin Owens outside the rings, he's actually a really lovable person.
Yes, he's a teddy bear.
Devoted father, great husband. So you can be a bad guy and travail the line because Sami Zayn's still one of his best friends, but him and Sami went to war in the ring at Battleground. They literally left it all in the ring. But I guess what I'm really trying to say here is you can't force people to be who they're not.
Right.
And I think that's where WWE, I think in life, I think often too many times we have to hide behind the gimmick and the persona, and that's where we go wrong. Yeah, I know my gimmick's supposed to be salty because I'm salty Damian G. It's because I'm meh to a lot of stuff.
Right.
A lot of things resonate with me to the point where I'm emotional. I'm dead inside, a lot of people would say. So, and that goes with being—
You're a robot.
I'm a robot. And that goes with me being a therapist or being a counselor, where I'm supposed to be even keel. I'm supposed to be emotionless and just go,
Right.
So lay off. I would like to think, and it goes back to our don't be a dick rule from the other day. Lay off people trying to do a hustle. Lay off people just trying to make their money in professional wrestling. You don't know who they are behind closed doors. Try to separate the person from the gimmick. I beg for people to separate Roman Reigns from his gimmick. I beg people to separate everyone from their gimmick. Like you said, separate Nikki Bella from her gimmick. What she's portrayed on Total Divas is not necessarily who she is because Total Divas is a reality show.
Yeah.
But that's just me. I don't know. That's just me.
Everything's a work. This is what it comes down to, guys. Everything's a work. And so, like any sort of life is a work. I mean, Total Divas is a work. Anything that you see wrestling-wise is a work. And so, I think we're better spending our energies other places than trying to pick apart what somebody's saying in the ring or the way that they're being booked or whatever and apply it to some general bigger picture problem with society.
Well, isn't that how we operate our podcast here at The Last Mark Standing? We like to think bigger. We like to think big.
We do like to think bigger, but I like to think we're a little more efficient with the way that we do it. And I think, again, we're trying to facilitate communication and help people understand each other as opposed to just taking people to task, or unless they're attacking the entire wrestling fandom as a whole, that's where we take people to task. But these are very difficult subjects, is what it comes down to. They're very difficult subjects. People, even people who say that they're fighting for disenfranchised populations and things like that, or populations who are underserved and whatever, neglected, who don't have the same rights. That's very difficult for them to wrap their heads around. This is something, it's a work in progress, if anything. It's a fluid situation. As we evolve as humanity, racism is going to be something totally different in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 25 years. And so we have to be flexible. And we have to give each other the benefit of the doubt, and see, think deeply about like where this stuff is coming from, what is real and what is not, what's a shoot, what's the work, and just go from there, because sometimes I feel like attacking people on like Twitter or whatever, can be very exhausting.
That I was going to say, that's the thing. It can be so exhausting.
It can be very exhausting, for everybody involved. And I think sometimes when you do this, you take people to task and you go through this Twitter war and whatever, and you do eventually end that argument. Does that person know you better as a person, and do you know them better as a person? Because I think if you're going to do that, you need to understand their point of view. You need to understand why they believe these things. Maybe it's hereditary. Maybe it's because their parents raised them that way. I don't think we're going to solve anything by just telling people like, no, that's bad. It's like, tell them why it's bad. Give them a history lesson. Give them, say, this is why this is hurtful. Like that.
Okay. No, that's good, because you and I have made a lifestyle of educating. That is what we want to do. And I appreciate everyone on Twitter who goes to battle for their causes. I appreciate that. I just want there to be dialogue. I want there to be fluid dialogue and fluid discussion where we can exchange ideas, and we don't have to puff our chest out, and scream at the top of our lungs, we're better or they're better because of whatever reason. How about we just discuss our points of view? We may not have to agree. We could agree to disagree, but at least we know where the other person is coming from. Put yourself in the person's shoes. Empathy. That's all I'm asking for, man. I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm not asking for emotional response. Conversation, topical, in-depth topic conversation, empathy. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, to each other, and we need to be empathetic to each other and to the wrestlers, and they're performing, and just because they're on TV doesn't mean they're not real people.
Right.
They deserve empathy too.
Exactly. And just like the people who called the Usos, behavior thuggish, the same people have called Naomi into question
for her new gimmick.
Her new gimmick, because it doesn't portray her as the athletic wrestler she is. Apparently, it's magnifying the fact that we're bringing more attention to her other assets, as it were. What do you think about that topic in general? Okay,
so this is going to be probably like a more like sexism-ish issue.
It's an ism. Yeah, it's an ism.
It is an ism, and the thing is, it's like, I don't think people have any room to criticize whether something is shedding light on a specific part of her body, or she is doing X with her body and trying to get away with whatever and advance her career. First of all, everybody's body belongs to them, and the way that they use it is totally up to them. And I assume, and I've seen her Instagrams and her Facebook and Twitter and all this different stuff. Naomi made a lot of this stuff for her new costume, for her new gimmick herself.
Yeah.
This is not something that was pushed upon her by Vince or Kevin Dunn or any of the writers. They're like, hey, look, now you're just this booty shaking raver chick. This seems to be something that Naomi's been pursuing on her own. And it just is not helpful for somebody to see a girl dancing and being like, she's perpetuating a stereotype about Black women and the way that they use their bodies. You're the one making it a problem. Like Naomi can use her body or do whatever she wants to do with herself, present herself, be a character, whatever, however way she wants. I mean, she's not viewing it that way.
Right.
Like she's just performing. She's doing a character. And if you start to attach negative connotations to it, you're the one that's perpetuating the problem. Because that's the thing. It goes back to slut shaming. It's like, just because you perceive somebody's actions as being promiscuous or provocative or whatever, don't assume that they're doing it against their will, or like they don't want to do it. They feel like they have to do it because of society. There is a portion of feminism that feels like using our sexuality is empowering. And you have to respect that. Like, feminism is not one way, like being feminist or being pro-woman or being supportive of other genders is not accepting it as a one size fits all situation. You know, because I've taken feminist classes, and it did make me a little bit more feminist, I have to say, but it also opened my eyes to the fact that people are going to express themselves in different ways, and they're going to attain power in different ways and ways that they feel are effective. Sheryl Sandberg, Lean In, has her own different way, and I'm going to argue, and some people are going to disagree with this. Kim Kardashian has her own way, or whoever, and so. It's just not our place to apply certain bigger ideals or bigger issues to something as innocuous as Naomi's dancing or her wardrobe or whatever. Because like you're the one that's injecting sexism or racism into this issue, right. Where it doesn't need to be injected.
Right. And I'm seeing the tweets about the rear view and how that's not helping the cause. But okay, on one hand, do I think it's dumb that a woman or a man uses their butt as a finishing move? Because I hate when Mojo Rawley does it.
Right.
I hate the fact that he uses that stupid butt squash.
Yeah.
Why does nobody talk about Mojo Rawley using his butt or Rikishi? Right. Oh, when Rikishi did, it's hilarious. Ha 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 ha.
Right.
And it was a big dude using his butt.
Yeah.
Same difference. I mean,
you're just seeing one thing. You're seeing one thing that Naomi does, and you're injecting all sorts of connotations into it. In that it harkens back to video girls and all this whatever. Like it doesn't help females. It doesn't help females of color. I get that, but everybody has their own way of trying to change the world and doing what they're doing.
Right.
Like if Naomi is fine with doing that move, and it leads her to becoming the women's champion, then I don't care. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I have my own way of breaking stereotypes. I have my own way of discussing these issues. And she has her own, like don't just assume that she just does a disservice to all Black women because she plays up anything about her sexuality or does certain moves that don't look good for the race or for the gender. You know what I mean? Like
remember, and you're old enough to know this. Remember Ravishing Rick Rude?
Yes. Right.
The gyrations and such. Uh-huh. And he would do his butt pop, he would pop his butt muscles with the woman's face on the tights.
Right.
Where was the outrage then?
That was a different time.
I know, but you see what I'm saying? Time. Like, okay, who's the guy with the penis plex? Joey Ryan, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What are people complain about that too? And I'm like, but it's entertainment. Like, okay, Joey Ryan uses his penis to suplex people. If people allow him to do it, if he hasn't stopped using it, then what are you really complaining about? Or you just want to get yourself out there? You just want to hear yourself talk?
Yeah.
Like what? It goes back to education versus wanting to hear yourself or pump your chest out or beat your chest. Where's the line? Mm-hmm. Where is the small line in between trying to educate other people and then just being a smark?
Yeah. Yes.
I'm sorry. And like for me personally, Naomi is the most athletic, if not one of the most, if not the most athletic woman I've seen in the ring before. Mm-hmm. Her split-legged moonsault is beautiful. Mm-hmm. Her moves are electric when she pulls them off. I mean, there was a time when she would botch some of these moves, but she was still learning on the job. Mm-hmm. NXT when she was there is a whole lot different now versus FCW.
Right.
So she's been putting in the work to get better. So I don't care if she wants to come up with her raver and the light. Man, if anything, that's awesome. For me, it's entertaining to have her in this gimmick. People complain about the New Day. I've seen it. They say, "Oh, why are they shucking and jiving?" Don't start that. Don't start that.
Yeah, I know. Has anybody said anything to you about Uncle Tom's?
Yep.
Yeah.
They say people have called the New Day, to me specifically, they're sellouts because they're Bootio cereal. They were better when they were heels because they weren't selling out. So wait, Where's the midline? Because when they first teased debuting, everyone was like, oh, they're going to be militant. Oh, here comes the nation of domination. Of course they're going to fit the stereotype. Mm-hmm. Now that they're preaching the power of positivity and they're dancing and they have trombones and they pay homage to geek and nerd culture, now they're selling out. Which one is it? You can't have it both ways.
Let me also bring something up really quick, because when it comes to these issues, especially race issues, I think we need to understand the generational gap. Because, we're a little bit older. We're not millennials. You and I work with millennials. We are friends with millennials. We interact with them. They have a very different view of racism and race relations in America. Right. There are a lot of them that who only know a black president. They only, and a lot of them believe we live in a post-racial society. And then a lot of them believe that it's their duty to call people out if they're doing blackface and whatever and all this different stuff. But they are a little too young, and this is a broad stroke that I'm painting here, but this is what I've seen, is that they're doing this without fully understanding the history of things. They're trying to do the right thing by calling people out and saying, that's disrespectful to a certain group of people or whatever. But yet at the same time, they don't know what the history of blackface is. They don't know what the history of being called an Uncle Tom is. And so I think sometimes that's what you have to realize. Some of us are a little too sensitive because we've experienced actual racism, or we've studied these things, or we know the history of it, or whatever. We're old enough to have seen these things in person. Old enough to have learned about Martin Luther King, the Watts riots, whatever. And we are coexisting with a new generation who isn't learning about these things, who this stuff is not and they're still trying to do something productive. They're still trying to create a better world of post-racial harmony. Mm-hmm. But just remember that they're not necessarily working with the same information base and experience base that you're working with.
Right. And it goes back to what you were saying earlier about
and that's
using
why
terms so flippantly.
That's why you have to be careful. That's why that it's about education. It's about opening lines. So that's the thing. If you dismiss somebody right away, there's no chance for you to teach them what the term blackface really means. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If some poor little 23-year-old is like, isn't that blackface? And then I just call them an idiot and leave it at that. That's not going to do anything. It's be like, hey, I don't agree with you. I've studied blackface. I've studied African-American film. Look up the jazz singer, just Wikipedia the jazz singer. And then that's all I tell them. You know what I mean? Teach them what misappropriation really means. Right. Teach them what Uncle Tomming really means. Because that's my concern. That's really my biggest concern, because I get what the younger generation is trying to do, and it's so noble, and it does give me hope that these kids really, all the burners and the Black Lives Matters kids and just millennials in general, they're so hopeful about the fact that we live and we will continue to live in a post-racial society, that they sometimes don't feel the need to learn about the past and realize that there are some of us who have actually experienced real racism, real sexism, real classism. Some of these kids haven't, and they're just throwing around these terms and they're just saying all these things as if they know. And it's I know we have a lot of listeners here who are, even older than you and I, and they really have experienced some of this stuff in person. And
by the way, Trina, you can't use the term "yo." That might label you a thug.
A thug? Saying. Yeah, I'm a little thuggish. But yeah, so it comes down to understanding. We're all trying to do good here, but I think I have lived in different parts of the country. I've lived in the Deep South. I grew up on the East Coast. I lived in California for a little bit. I've traveled to over 30 countries, and I do all of it to get perspective. Because I don't want to believe that somebody is just a racist or believe that somebody is just a misogynist. There are reasons behind these things. There are histories, there are political structures, there are, there are like socioeconomic castes.
Hey,
socioeconomic castes that have led them to believe these things. And so, we gotta recognize that not everybody is coming from the same base of knowledge and experience.
And that's why we here at the Last Mark Standing podcast want to be the people to shine the light for you all in a positive and constructive way, and not very markish where I feel like I'm jumping out of my chair and wanting to go into the computer screen and punch people. That's not our thing. Let me just personally add one.
Sorry, let me just add one more thing. If you doubt, or have any question about what I'm talking about, PBS has a great what is the name of their show? Nightline. Anyway, I will post it. Frontline.
Yeah,
yes,
Nightline's
Frontline.
A different show completely.
Sorry about that. So PBS did an episode of Frontline covering the social media generation, and they covered specifically kids who were in high school or early college. And they asked them, do you know what sellout means? And they have no idea. I mean, these are kids who only know President Obama. They think that we live in a post-racial society. And it's like, when you're dealing with somebody who's coming from that level, how are you going to communicate effectively? Like if you're calling somebody a sellout and you're talking to a kid, a 25-year-old who has no idea what that means, just take that into consideration. It's really shocking. We actually had our parents watch it. I mean, it's just like, especially you and me being the age that we are, the term sellout is something that was very prevalent in our childhoods, in our teen years. We all grew up liking bands and artists, and the second they quote unquote sold out, it's like they weren't being real anymore. And we're living in a society now with some 20-year-olds who don't know what that means. They literally have no idea what it means.
Right. And I just want to make one point about the term sellout in wrestling. I distinctly remember during the talent raids of the 90s, ECW fans, specifically ECW fans, would scream, "You sold out, you sold out," when they knew a person was going from ECW to either WCW or WWE. And it's just funny how, I don't know if it's me, I haven't heard that as much recently over the past couple of years, because like if you're going to TNA, you're really selling out.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Like you don't hear it as much in wrestling anymore. So I wonder if it's more because nobody cares, or because there's not enough competition for people. Like even indie fans now, they're more respectful. They'll say, "Please don't go, please don't go," but they don't say as much anymore. You sold out, you sold out. Yeah. Because like you said, a lot of the indie going fans are younger fans. So they don't know the term "you sold out" means in pro wrestling.
Exactly. Right. Let me. I want to bring up my one friend last night because it came up.
You only have one friend? What?
I only have one friend. At Juicy Pat Lucy.
Hey now.
He is the first person at a wrestling event to speak to me as a woman of color, like a peer about wrestling. We were sitting next to each other. We went to Shimmer. I didn't know him. We were sitting next to each other, and he started, like, "Oh, have you seen this person?" Or he presupposed that I had all this knowledge about women's wrestling and wrestling history because, hey, I'm sitting in like the front row of a Shimmer show in the Logan Square Auditorium. Really fantastic thing to see. I mean, because you guys know my trouble with not being able to get guys usually to talk to me at these shows or respect me as a fan. And so he was promoting indie shows last night. He was promoting a couple indie shows saying like, hey, come see this person, come see this person. And for some reason, he was getting called a loser, saying that he was just a fan. So why does he even bother? And blah, blah, blah. Like he was getting lambasted on Twitter for just being a genuinely great indie wrestling fan. You know, and he does have aspirations to work in the business. He wants to be a promoter. He wants to work in indie wrestling someday. And so he's like, you know, at the end of the night after all of it, he's like, you know what, guys, like if you're going to shit on me for trying to help hardworking men and women advance in their careers because I'm just a fan and I'm not quote unquote in the business, then, you know, then fine, shit on me. And so, you know, it's like you just, there are fans here who are just trying to do like the right thing. You know, and it's like you can't shit on everybody, you know, because they don't fit your cookie cutter image of what fandom should be. Mm-hmm. You know, because you're a Roman Reigns hater or you're a whatever.
Man, listen, can we just go to the point where we're watching wrestling and enjoying it for what it is? It's athletics, it's entertainment, it's supposed to be fun. Like, did we lose that somewhere about the fun? Again, I'm going to use my argument about medieval times. Man,
right.
Everybody's knight is going to get killed except for one. You don't know before that show who's going to get, you know, killed by either the Black Knight or by the rest of the knights in the show. Are you really going to get mad because the Yellow Knight got killed or the Red Knight got killed? They're characters. They are universal characters. I'm still going to get fed. I'm still going to drink booze. I'm still going to have a good time. And I'm going to wear a cheesy-ass crown. I promise I'll find my crown next time. And next time we do a live show, I'll put my medieval times crown on. Since people complain that I wear too many hats. So, yeah, let's just enjoy the show. Like tonight, I'm going to Ring of Honor. I am so excited. Because I don't really know this new era of Ring of Honor. I don't know the Adam Coles. I don't know those kinds of dudes.
So excited for you.
I want to see him live. I want to see him do his little Bullet Club pose. I'm wearing my Bullet Club shirt tonight to Ring of Honor.
Let me ask you one thing. Have you seen Dalton Castle?
Nope. You guys told me about him. I saw him on YouTube, and I find him fascinating.
This is a very, very different character than we've ever seen before. This is definitely a situation where, like, I don't feel like he's ever really going to make it to the main roster at WWE. There is a chance he could make it to NXT, but if Vince is still alive, that guy is not making it on the main roster. And the funny thing is, you know, I tried to bring him up actually with Tugboat when I saw him at the convention, and he didn't have any words for me. He's an old school guy.
Fred Ottman
sort of skipped over it and we, you know, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say Fred Ottman didn't like him. He just didn't have a lot to say. You know, this is a very different kind of character that we're seeing, and I love him. Dalton Castle's fantastic. You know, and so I think we need to be open to the different kinds of wrestling that's going on. You know, like flippy floppy shit or whatever, or strong style, and you'll see a lot of that tonight. You know, like you'll see a lot of different stuff tonight.
Because remember how you went when you went to Ring of Honor shows when we first started doing podcasts, you just showed up not knowing storylines, not really knowing who certain wrestlers were. That's how I'm going into it. I don't know the current Ring of Honor storylines. All I know is that Jay Lethal lost the title to Adam Cole. That's all I know. That's it. I'm going in with a completely open mind just to be like, holy crap, you know, this is the first time I'm seeing Ring of Honor, and I'm pumped up for it.
Yeah. So, do you know what the card is?
No, I don't. Are you going to tell me?
This is even better. I'm not going to tell you, but I am going to say that there's probably a good chance that you're going to get a couple New Japan wrestlers there too.
Okay.
So there's that. So, you know,
I don't
again,
follow New Japan that closely either. So imagine I'm going to be like, who's this? You know?
Yeah. And the crowd, this is why I love Ring of Honor crowds at live events. They will let you know right away who you need to be showing respect to, which is pretty much everybody on the roster. They're great fans over at Ring of Honor, especially when the New Japan guys come over, because we don't get them that often. You know, like they'll let you know that you should be bowing down to Tanahashi, you know, like, so it's things like that. So you're just really going to have a great time. I'm super, super excited for you.
Okay. So if you had to give me 3 people I should keep my eye on that I maybe not know, who are those 3 people?
I would say Adam Cole because I haven't seen a lot of him because the couple events that I went to, he was injured. So the last Ring of Honor event I went to, he actually was injured. I haven't seen him. I would keep an eye on him because I really think he's poised for really bigger things. He's very, very talented. He's very charismatic. You know, good looking. That helps. He's in the Bullet Club. So this is somebody that's on the rise. I mean, Jay Lethal is fantastic too, but Adam Cole, I think, is like 23. You know what I mean? Like, this is a very young talent. I would say Dalton Castle for sure, just because the gimmick is just so, it's just so different. And then let me see, who else? Who do I love over there? I guess it depends. I'd have to look at the card and see who's going to be there, because I don't want to get this wrong if they're not going to be there. So it's Ring of Honor in Brooklyn tonight? Yeah.
MCU Park. Okay. So if you see me there, I will be there with my boy Art Castillo. We'll be there. If you see me and you recognize me, say hi. Give a shout out.
Please say hi.
Yeah, say hi, but do it in a nice way. Don't come at me like we've known each other for 20 years, because I might get scared off and run away.
Yeah.
You know, remember, folks, I still deal with social anxiety. So please.
I know we're like going so over on this, but we'll talk about it after. But I'm going to give you one more. Kyle O'Reilly, I think, is somebody to watch too. Okay. He's coming up. He's got like that little weird body, but like the slight sort of like live body, but great work.
You mean like Zack Sabre Jr.?
Yeah, a little bit. The Briscoes are also like my favorites. The problem is
are they still doing that? Like I don't know, like they look like they haven't bathed in about 10 months.
Yeah, and there have been some shoot interviews where they've come off as like a little homophobic, a little racist. I mean, like I as wrestlers, I appreciate them as performers. I think they're really captivating. It is hard to separate, again, the person from the entertainer, from the character. So, I mean, I don't know. Okay. And then you're going to get to see the Young Bucks. Yay! I know. So Damian is not a fan of super kicks, especially the ones coming from the Young Bucks, by the way. But so just be prepared, because that's what everybody's going to mark out for. They are super over.
I'm going to scream super geek every chance I get now. People are going to hate me for that.
Yeah, they will. I mean, it's like they like are super over. So just be prepared for all of that. Let me actually to close this out. I wanted to bring it back that you mentioned social anxiety, because we both of us just took part in SummerSlam weekend this past weekend, and in our previous episodes talked about the fact that we were pretty nervous about going to SummerSlam weekend. We had never met each other before that weekend. On the list of things that gave me anxiety, like meeting you in person wasn't necessarily the top of the list, because, we talk every other day. We talk every week. We do this podcast together. It was anxiety about meeting new people, going to quote unquote parties where like people with social anxiety or introverts feel trapped. Those were instances like that. And so I kind of just want to ask you and talk about a little bit how your social anxiety was this weekend, because I know there are a lot of fans who listen to us who deal with some of the same issues that we have, and they in the future will be attending events, and how do we navigate this?
Okay, I want to first just talk about my own personal experience with what happened this past weekend. You and I met a whole bunch of new people this weekend.
Yes.
I made some new wrestling friends this past weekend. it took a lot for me to actually come out of my shell. And those who are there probably don't know this about me, but I don't talk a lot outside in my personal life.
Yeah. Well, you talk for your job a lot. So it's like, that's.
So I'd rather listen to people than talk. So when we were at that SummerSlam party with Andrew Zarian, I barely talked. I barely spoke a word, and I didn't want people to think, what is he, does he like not like anybody?
Is he too shy or something like that?
Yes, I am too shy. You really want me to go there? I'm too shy. There were instances where a couple of people were talking directly to me and I couldn't make eye contact with them. Yeah. Because I felt like a lost child in my soul.
Awkward. Right. Yeah. I mean, because these are a bunch of people that you just met.
Yeah. When I met Andrew Zarian for the first time, I was a little nervous because here's, the host of Matt Man and What the Tech, and
he's got those amazing eyebrows.
And he's got the perfect hair and the amazing eyebrows and the perfectly, coiffed beard.
Yeah.
But I was nervous meeting him, but he welcomed me with open arms and fist pumps and, and hey, Damian, and we just conversed and talked. And same thing with intern Deacon. I'm still terrified, like if I wasn't doing this show with you and people ask me to be a guest, I am curious to how I will come off as a guest versus a host, because I'm not you on here. Like, and people have attacked me for not being you. And you know that. And I have my own version of my own charismatic nonsense that I do, but that's only when I'm comfortable. I was so uncomfortable at NXT when I first met everybody. We met Randy Cruz. I kind of, me and stat guy Greg from GP, we gave each other the head acknowledgement.
Weird nods and things like that.
And he apologized for that and for just doing the head nod. But had he come up to me, I would have been terrified because I'm not because I'm not well versed and I can't hold a conversation, but I trip up on my words a lot. I've had to go to speech therapy just to get rid of the stutter I used to have as a kid. So for me to be able to interact with people without being tipsy is a stress for me. It makes me nervous. I sweat. I get annoyed. I don't know what to do with my hands. I get itchy in the back of my neck. But when I'm doing this and you hit the microphone, I turn to a completely different person. And you know that. Like the minute I'm on, I'm on. The gimmick is on. But away from this makes me so nervous about, I'm not scared to meet people because I'm a people person, but I'm scared about coming across as a nincompoop because I'm afraid to talk to people or I'm not comfortable in my surroundings. So at that party, I couldn't. And it wasn't until the numbers dwindled where I finally got comfortable because it wound up being me, you, intern Deacon, Andrew, and a couple of the people that we met during the weekend.
Our friend Nick, baseball examiner.
Yeah, our friend Nick. And I want to apologize on air to Nick if it seemed like I was ignoring Nick when he asked me questions. It was just I am not comfortable in that close proximity with people when they talk to me. Had he been across the room and having a conversation with me, no problem. The fact that he was sitting directly next to me and talking to me, it could have been God or whatever universal entity or deity we have. I still would have been like humming, because I am not comfortable in my own words in public. So, and we're keeping with the social anxiety thing. NXT, I was nervous. SummerSlam weekend, I was nervous. But I wasn't nervous at Raw. Why? Because I knew all the people that were ticking me off, I didn't really care. Now, had Sam Roberts walked up to me or Adam from What Culture walked up to me, I might have tripped over my words a little bit because these are people in our industry. But at the same token, they're just people.
Yeah.
And I think that's how I deal with it as best I can. Like, I take my meds, whatever the case may be. But today at ROH, I'm going to admittedly probably have a couple of Jack Daniels in my system. Not to the point where I'm wasted beyond belief, but to the point where I'm socially relaxed because I'm always uptight. I'm always on edge because I'm always worried that someone's going to sneak up behind me. I'm going to have to judo chop them in the throat. One of my best friends, I think I told you the story of I was working this is a few years back, and a woman surprised me behind me when I was putting on the water, the Poland Spring water jug onto the water cooler. And she was behind me and she said, "Hi, Damian." And she tapped me really abruptly on the shoulder. My first reaction was to elbow her in the nose.
She's an aggressive tapper.
Yeah. And it was like, bam. And all of a sudden she got bopped in the nose. And I felt so horrible that I hit this woman in the nose. It wasn't meant to be, it wasn't meant to be violent.
Yeah.
You know, and I felt horrible, but that serves as a warning.
Yeah.
Don't come up to me when I'm not expecting you, because you might get punched in the face.
Yeah.
So look, if you want to greet me with a fist tap, that's cool, but keep it
exactly. Because he's going to elbow you in the face. FYI.
I will. Yeah.
I wanted to bring it up because yeah, I mean, we deal with the same social anxiety. We deal with it in very different ways. One, I want to say I'm proud of you because you handled it really well this weekend. I thought we represented the last mark standing as best as we could this weekend. We were out there, we were talking to fans and stuff like that. And I also wanted to show people that it does manifest itself in different ways. I think after having talked about this subject for so long and ad nauseum, Damian and I probably had certain preconceptions about each other and how we deal with social situations. Specifically, I think Damian was probably a little surprised that I was like a little more talkative, that I was like the outgoing person. Right.
Of the two of us,
you're the
outgoing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the one, like we're in line because I horribly made him miss the Bobby Roode entrance. Horribly, because I was super hungry. I'm the one in the hallway screaming "glorious," and I'm like doing the little hand thing or whatever. Like I'm a ham, like I like to perform. But that is the face of social anxiety. It looks like Damian. It looks like me. Like just because someone's not talking at a party doesn't mean a certain thing. And just because somebody's running around like a jackass screaming Bobby Roode's song doesn't mean they don't have social anxiety. Because I'll tell you, for as charismatic and outgoing as I was this weekend, it took me probably about 4 days to recover. And that's the introvert in me. And it was just, it wasn't like I was physically sick. I was just so drained emotionally. And I didn't realize how much energy I'd spent just enjoying the thing that I love with my friends, that like when I got home, I mean, I really didn't talk to anybody for like 4 days, like it was very exhausting. And so I just wanted to bring it up because I wanted to show people how we dealt with it this weekend and meeting new people. And Damian will be a little quiet sometimes, and me, I'm going to be a spaz. Like I'm just going to talk a million miles an hour or just be weird. I mean, that's the way I'm awkward. And that's the way that I deal with my social anxieties, because the difference is I don't like silence. And so I will say all sorts of weird stuff to fill the silence and to make myself feel better about the situation. I hate it so much, and it's like, I also wanted to bring it up because I know there were other people who listen to our podcast who do deal with social anxiety or are introverts or depression or things like that, who did go to WrestleMania weekend, to SummerSlam weekend, and they put themselves out there. And so to anyone else who listens to us, who watches us, the wrestling community was fantastic this past weekend.
Definitely.
They were super nice. Everybody, it's like we all knew each other for years, even though it was the first time we met. So, if you like mine and Damian's podcast, if you like Mat Men, if you like the New Age Insiders, I will tell you for a fact that all these people are super, super nice and sweet in person. And they love their fans. And don't be afraid to like just say hi. It's like we're here, and it means a lot to us to like get a hello from somebody and say like, oh, I love your show. But if you are like a little afraid to talk to people, know that you have people like me and Damian out there who will like say hi to you at these events. If you see Damian at Ring of Honor tonight and you typically keep to yourself and you don't talk to people, like say hi to Damian. He understands like what you're going through. I understand what you're going through. You know, like we are legitimate about doing this wrestling family thing.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, I missed, my flight got canceled. I ended up staying at Andrew Zarian's house. The New Age Insiders, I didn't get to spend a lot of time with them, but for like the hour and a half that I was with them, the nicest, warmest people that you could ever meet. And so this is why we all do this. You know, we're doing this to connect each other. We share some of the same trials and tribulations. You know, some of us have the social anxiety, some of us have the depression and things like that. And use wrestling as a way to help you cope with it, as a way to help you deal with it. You know, like we are totally serious. If you see Damian tonight at Ring of Honor,
please say hi.
He won't bite. He is seriously the nicest guy ever. You see Andrew Zarian, you see BTC Rich, you know, any of these guys from New Age Insiders or any of the other podcasts that we work with. They are serious about making this a family and making everyone feel comfortable and using wrestling as a way to connect all of us.
Yeah. And that's what we do here. We want to be the people you connect to when you feel no one connects to you in the first place, because that's what we go through. We are the face of the stigma. And again, I want to give another shout out to Wrestle Addict, or the Wrestle Addict.
Yes.
When we did their live stream, their 24-hour stream for the Bury the Stigma, hashtag Bury the Stigma telethon to benefit to Right Love on Her Arms. And that for me, you know this, Trina, that for me was the most wonderful, heartfelt thing I could be a part of for me personally. As a man who's tried to commit suicide multiple times, to be involved in that, I'm going to start getting all teary-eyed about it, to be involved in that kind of thing and that kind of just belief, that meant the world to me. So it's because of that weekend where I can say, look, we are a wrestling family. We will stick together. We may not all agree on topics, but at the end of the day, and I hate that phrase, but I'm going to use it. At the end of the day, we're all humans trying to make it in this work called life. Life is not a shoot, man. It's a work.
It's a work.
You're going to get worked in life. To harken back to our earlier episode this week, whether it's a work shoot, a semi-shoot, man, it's life. And we're going to get worked by it, and we're going to get shot. Hopefully not for real, but we're going to wind up in the same place when we kick the bucket. We're going to the dirt or to the urn with, the pallbearer urn. Yeah. That's one of the two ways we're going out. Yeah. So while I'm here, I'm going to try to overcome my severe insecurities about who I am and how I am as a person, just for the sake knowing that there's other people out there who go through what you and I go through on a daily basis. And you know what? That is why I get up in the morning and I do my job. That is why I get up and I do it for the people I love and I care about. And that is why I do this podcast with you, because I want to, again, open up lines of discussion when people feel no one wants to listen to them, when no one feels appreciated. You got people like me, you got people like Trina, you got Matt Men, you got New Age Insiders, the Wrestle Addict, Rant with Ant, all those people that encompasses the Fans Podcast. We all encompass this universe. And we're all stars in the universe of wrestling broadcasting. And we are in this together. Let's remember that. We're in this together. It's all about love, man. And I hate to sound like Chris Jericho and say, drink it in, man, but
drink it in.
Drink in the love, man. Trina's going to beat you up.
That too.
Yeah. And speaking of getting beat up, I don't like getting beat up by Trina. As you heard, she's kind of the bully, because if you heard the wrestling school dream I had about her, Trina and myself, she pretty much was the bully of wrestling school. So in order to prevent that, we have a Patreon page. So,
yes, please.
Yeah, so it's go to patreon.com /The Last Mark Standing. Feel free to donate $1. Per episode or whatever. We do have goals. I do have a thing of $20 a month. If you pledge $20 a month, or anyone that can pledge $20 a month, we will interview you for the show. Yeah. About wrestling topics. We will have you on for you to talk about why you love wrestling. It's not about you shilling a product. It's not about you pumping a website. It's why you, that person, gets a 10-minute forum interviewed by me to be included in a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So again, patreon.com/lastmarkstanding. You can give $1, you can give $5. We have goals and aspirations. I don't like getting beat up by Trina, so the more you contribute, the less likely it is she'll beat me up, as well as Freelance Mikey. So do it for us. Don't let this face get beat up by Trina, please. I've suffered enough in life, okay?
Yeah,
I'm not a good-looking dude. She's going to make me uglier, okay?
My boxing coach told me I punch like I'm from Detroit.
Yeah, I can see that. So, yeah. Again, shout out to Mimi. We love you. You're one of our patrons. Smart Infested Waters, you're one of our patrons. We love you. Everyone who's donated, I want to say thank you and I appreciate you. To the people who listen on SoundCloud and iTunes, we love you all. Like I ran off the roll call, but then we'd be here all day. You all know who you are. The Ride or Dies, the Brads, the Chadwicks, the Williams, etc. Any new listeners who are out there, thank you for listening to us, because God knows why.
And tell your friends.
Yeah, and tell your friends that we're here spreading the good word about pro wrestling, and we're not all cretins and dunderheads that live in our mom's basements, as most people would like us to be led to believe. So with that being said, again, Last Mark Podcast on Twitter. Find Trina at the Marquis Mark, myself at Dare to be Damian. Tweet us, let us know what you thought of the show. Give us show ideas if you want. Just let us know you're listening, because we do it, like we said, as a labor of love. And again, you can find it on SoundCloud and TalkShoe.com. We'll see you next time, folks.
Bye, guys.